Alright, time to continue with the Ashimmu. I'm kinda sad that I didn't max out the Killmark count on this ship, but I'm working towards that. Very soon that will happen. Now, we have received one new nanocore that I would like to show you. I still use the good old tungsten nanocore on the Ashimmu. Really don't feel the need to change that, honestly. So, the new core is the Ashimmu Blood Omir core. And well, here we can take a look at the skin design. It looks very nice. The primary three attributes also look very nice, but my personal favorites are these three attributes that you can have. 15.60% neutralizer range, 15.60% Nosferatu range, or 15.60% status Webbifer speed decrease. So technically you can have a Vigilant with the Ashimmu, well, something close to a Vigilant at least. Imagine the extra speed reduction on 29.6 kilometers with dual webs. Yeah, that is kinda fun. And of course the rest of the attributes are also very nice. But at the moment I still use the good old tungsten nanocore. I love this core and I really don't feel the need to change the core on the Ashimmu. This ship is already very perfect and I would like to keep it that way. Alright, well, it will be time to undock and let's have some fun.
Warp drive active.
Warping towards the first target. Well, how many times did I say that? Probably a lot, I know. Looks like a long warp. Well, not too long, but maybe I should have warped from the planet, who knows. We have a Rattlesnake, very nice. Perfect warping, just within the optimal range of my pulse lasers. Did not have enough time to swap to beam lasers, so I'll just have to use pulse lasers with the dual web build. Works really well against frigates and cruisers, even against battle cruisers. It should also work against battleships. Now, I messed up with my orbit. I forgot to change the orbit into 12 kilometers. Or should I say into 17 kilometers? My optimal range with the pulse lasers is around 17 kilometers. So this orbit should be very nice. This Rattlesnake seems to be decently tagged. Doesn't look like the Rattlesnake has any nanocore. Although they might have a nanocore just hidden. We have 3 Ashimmu and 1 Logi. So far that's a very lethal combination. And the capacitor of that Rattlesnake is in a lot of trouble. Orbit is now set at 14 kilometers. That's just enough to stay out of the web range. The Rattlesnake is using a Nosferatu on my drone. That's interesting. Actually, I'm not quite sure if that's my drone, but the Rattlesnake is definitely using a Nosferatu on the drone. Not quite sure why. They are now into armor. We have went through the shield. One of our Ashimmu had to warp out. Rattlesnake is now into armor, taking heavy armor damage. The Rattlesnake is, of course, using large drones. Large drones can hit the Ashimmu, but they should not do a lot of damage if you use a afterburner. In my case, I love the afterburner on this ship, so in most cases I have an afterburner on the Ashimmu. They are now into hull. Alright, slowly going down. The Rattlesnake is slowly boosting shield, but our Nosferatus did a very good job on the capacitor. Just a little bit of hull left on the Rattlesnake. And nice, Rattlesnake has been destroyed. That was a very nice first kill for today. Excellent work to my corp mates who tackled the Rattlesnake. They did a fantastic job. And again, very nice teamwork. I love teamwork in this game. Seeing 3 Ashimmu is also a very nice thing. We have 15 Belgorns, well, maybe we should have 15 Ashimmu as well. Because why not? The Ashimmu is a very lethal cruiser. And we all love Blood Raider ships, and we love lasers. Okay, our next target, we have a Typhoon. Well, I've landed really close to that battleship. Let's go and take range. I have beam lasers, so optimal orbit would be around 22 kilometers, and I'm slowly going towards that orbit. That shield on this Typhoon is going down rather quickly. That tells me that this Typhoon does not have a tank, or that they have an armor tank. And based on the effects on the hull, I would say this is a armor tank. Yep, a armor tank, and a very good one at that. Look how little damage my pulse lasers do on the armor of that battleship. I'm checking local because I have a feeling that this might be a bait, so you know, just checking local in case something like that happens. That's 100% a reactive armor hardener, reducing my damage on the Typhoon. We have, I think, 3 or 4 different damage types, so the reactive armor hardener is definitely adjusting that to our weapons, and in some cases it does affect my lasers, but in some other cases my lasers do a little bit more damage. Or in this case, I barely do any damage. Interesting. That might be a damage control now. That's a little bit too... Yeah, that was definitely a damage control. 13 seconds of 90+% resistance on the Typhoon. But now it's back to around 800 damage. And now it's around 1000 damage. That's when the reactive armor hardener doesn't do the work against my lasers. That one was on hull. The armor of this Typhoon has been broken, and now the Typhoon is left in hull. They still have a capacitor left. My capacitor is still getting recharged with every Nosferatu cycle, although I would say that the capacitor of the Typhoon is now empty. And now the ship itself is going down. That was a nice kill. I have to admit, one of the tankiest tier 9 battleships in a while. That Typhoon did tank very nice damage. But the capacitor in the end did go down, and they couldn't repair the ship anymore.
Warp
Okay,
drive
let's
active.
warp towards the next target. Adjusting orbit to 26 kilometers. We have, I think we have a Macariel. And we have a Macariel. Excellent. Faction battleship. Nice. Let's quickly orbit. Now the Macariel can easily track my Ashimmu, so I have to quickly go close to 30 kilometers in case I can't tank the incoming damage. But I believe I should be able to withstand some hits, at least until the Macariel has been destroyed. They are now into low shield, now into armor. So far the Macariel does not seem to be interested in the Ashimmu. They are shooting at... I think they're shooting at the Orthrus or at the RB core tops, not quite sure. Or they might be busy shooting at the storyline pirates, who knows. But so far it works in our favor because the Macariel is now going down and they have been destroyed. Nice. That's one more faction battleship destroyed today. Now let me take range and let's not warp to a gate. Let's not warp to a station with criminal timer. That would not end well. Okay, going towards the next target. Now, some battleships are kind of difficult to tackle. Macariel can be a very difficult to tackle battleship, but one more battleship that is kinda dangerous is the Abaddon. The Abaddon can easily hit targets with pulse lasers up to 70, 80, 90 kilometers, and they can easily track a afterburner cruiser orbiting at 27, 28 kilometers. So I warped a little bit further away in this case to test the range and the DPS of the Abaddon, and well, it looks like I can tank the Abaddon's damage, so I will go to web and point the target. The Abaddon slowly losing the armor. They are known to be one of the tankiest ships in the game, so I expect this Abaddon to take a lot of damage. Of course, that all depends on the build, so if they don't have a capacitor battery, then their capacitor will slowly go down. My shield holding very well. The damage that the Abaddon is doing to me currently is not that significant. Can easily tank that all day. The Abaddon is now into hull. Surprisingly, it did go down faster than I have expected. Usually when I fight an Abaddon that takes a while, but in this case the Abaddon is actually going down very quickly. They are now at 40% hull, repairing armor, but our DPS currently is outperforming the armor repairs, and the capacitor, I think the capacitor on the Abaddon currently is looking very good, but the capacitor outlasted the ship, which is very interesting. Doesn't happen that often. Well then, that was a nice kill. That was a very nice kill. Warping towards the next target. Our target is doing a storyline mission, tier 8 storyline mission to be more accurate, and we have a apocalypse. Okay, that was a perfect warp-in. Let's quickly web and point the targets. They have been webbed and pointed. I will go towards the optimal orbit of 26 kilometers. Although it looks like the other pirate ships in this thorough mission decided to shoot at me. I have to be careful not to fly in the range of the other pirate ships. Most likely they carry webs and scramblers, and that can be quite the problem. The scrambler not the biggest issue, but the web can be a problem because then the apocalypse can track me without a problem. And the apocalypse has been destroyed. Very nice. Another very nice target for today. Well, let's take range and let's wait out the timer. I might actually warp away to another anomaly, just in case. Just in case the game decides to throw my ship at a station or at a gate. I've heard that happen quite often lately, so I have to be extra careful. Okay, running towards the next ship to destroy. Adjusting orbit to 15 kilometers. We have another Dominic's. Perfect warping. Let's quickly web and point the target. They have been webbed and pointed. We'll orbit at 15 kilometers. Those battleships are doing very good damage on that battleship. The armor and shield gone just like that. Nice. And the Dominic's has been destroyed. Nice work. Now let me just take range and of course the usual stuff. Let's wait out the timer and then we can proceed towards the next target. I believe the next target is a Oracle 2, tier 9 battlecruiser. Okay, very nice warping, excellent warping actually. Right in the optimal range. They have been pointed, webbed. And now I'll orbit at 22 kilometers. Well, it looks like this Oracle does not like my Ashimmu at all. I noticed in a lot of cases I'm the primary target for a lot of players, but in a lot of cases that's a bad call, because if I am the primary target then my crew can do the damage while I can safely tank and enjoy the DPS that my teammates can do. Okay, let's go towards the next target. The beam laser Ashimmu that I'm currently using is, I think, one of the most iconic builds that I've done to any ship, because this build lasted for such a long time and it's still very good. We have a Phantasm. Okay, they have been locked, pointed and webbed, and of course they used warp core optimizers. Okay, that's fair, that's fair play. That means time to use one of our tactics for such a situation. Well then, we are not finished with that Phantasm yet. After a couple minutes, the Phantasm warped back in, right into the trap. They have been pointed, they have been webbed, and in this case, they are definitely not going to be able to warp out. We have a lot of points, and a lot of points are going to keep this Phantasm away from being able to use the warp drive. Phantasm lost their shield. Now the Phantasm is into armor. And now into hull. And the Phantasm has been destroyed. Very nice. Excellent work to my teammate. And of course, excellent work to my corp mate, to be more accurate. Excellent tackle. That's the Vigilant for you. A very good ship. And of course, the Vigilant is also excellent in the hands of a very skilled pilot. As you could see in the case with that Phantasm. And of course, with some previous ships that we destroyed today. Well then, time to return the Ashimmu in its natural habitat, the null space. We have two targets. We have one Armageddon that's already into hull, and we have a RB2 cover tops that's a little bit far away. Well, primary target is the Armageddon. Let's go and quickly engage. Well, they have already been engaged for a while. It just happens that I pop in at the right moment and the Armageddon has been destroyed. The RB cover tops warped out. Well, that's okay. Not quite sure if the RB cover tops was in the fleet with the Armageddon. Very possible. Very likely, but I personally don't know what's the case about that. Okay, let's roll towards the next target. Now that's a long warp. Or maybe not, I don't know. Our next target, we have a battle cruiser. Let's quickly tackle them. Webbed and pointed. And now watch the Orthus do full damage on that battle cruiser. Just watch the armor get destroyed by the Orthus. The Orthus is definitely one of the best ships that I've ever flown in this game. One of my most successful ships as well. So, just like the Vigilant, the Orthus in the hands of a good pilot is very lethal. Or should I say, basically any ship in the game in the hands of a good pilot is very lethal. And of course, very fun. Well then, warping towards the next target, we have a succubus that has tackled one of our friends, and of course we are going in to surprise that succubus. They definitely don't see us coming. I can guarantee that they will be very surprised when when we pop in the scout anomaly. And there is our target. That's our succubus. I have two very nice webs for this succubus, and of course a large Nosferatu that works like a neutralizer. Succubus has been webbed, has been pointed. The capacitor on the succubus has been depleted, and one hit was enough to bring the succubus into hull, and of course the other hit was enough to destroy that faction frigate. That was a very nice kill, and I would say a very funny one. They definitely did not see two more ships warping in. Okay, well, that was a very, very nice little roam today. We smashed, as usual, a lot of very nice ships, and most importantly, we all had fun. So, with that being said, hope that you had fun. Stay safe, fly safe, and I'll see you next time.